Hey everybody!
Hello.
Today we're here, and there's
And-
Amy,
Mhm.
and it's the Right Stuff thing, and we are going to talk about Camp NaNoWriMo and our writing goals and writing in general, and I hope that you're ready to chat with us. So send us any questions or comments or what have you at #WriteStuff. And I am going to tweet out the link and post it places.
Mhm. And I'll just chat while you do that. I'll think of a very funny story to tell people right away, off the top of my head. So yes, a funny story. No, so I think I was telling people as I disappear. That I got a new an e-reader. It was my first e-reader that I ever got, and I was leery about it. But now I have one, and it gives me advertising because I decided not to pay $20 not to get advertising because that was just seemed kind of silly. But now I feel like it's always on, which is annoying. It's just a cover. But I think the first 2 or 3 weeks I was just obsessed with getting samples. So I got all these samples of all these books, and I felt like my e-reader was just full of samples. I read his samples, and I'm like, this is good. And then I would be like, I'll get this later. And then I'd get it, but I sampled it. And then, so I have I probably have 20 samples on my e-reader. I only had one real book so far, but everything else, sample, sample, sample. But I find them really helpful. I think that's something that I enjoy most about it. With normal books, if you bought them, you're kind of stuck with that. That's your book you got. But with the samples, you'd be like, I don't like this. You can just not worry about it anymore.
True.
Mm-hmm. It wasn't a very funny story, but
I don't go in for a lot of samples, but I have gotten a few. Sometimes it's helpful, especially if you haven't had any experience with that writer before, or if you're not sure what kind of stuff they write.
That's true.
And if you don't want to spend money.
I find it because I got some manga samples, and the manga samples are 3 pages, and I'm like, this isn't a sample. Usually they're 100 pages thick, and you're like, I should at least get 20 pages in a sample, but they're 3 pages. That's your sample. And I'm like, disappointed. I can't get into the story in 3 pages.
Does that even? Is there anything happening in the story in 3 pages?
Not really. I mean, it's a good judge of the artwork, but other than that, you're like, I don't know what's going on. It's 3 pages. The girl woke up, and that's all that happened.
Very exciting. Oh man, how's your day going so far?
But I went to work, and then I went home, and then I went to sleep, and then I woke up, and I'm like, oh, I have to do this. I should wake up and eat something.
Let's see. What have I done today? I've done a lot of thinking about things, so I guess that's good.
I think that's always good when you think about things. As long as it's your story, then you can feel like you justified it.
Yeah, I've been thinking about my story. I guess that we could go ahead and talk about where we are with our writing right now, and then I can go on about my thoughts. So I am still doing the first round of edits for my first draft, my rough draft. And in my notebook, I'm on page 100 or so. But in my document that I'm sharing with Amy, I'm on page 30. It's terrible. I don't know how that happened, but Yeah, so part of what I'm going to be doing after we finish this is actually typing up things, because apparently I'm really terrible at that.
I know I had, I think before I was gonna, like I'm working on book 2 and book 1 kind of at the same time, but book 1 is very much nearly done. And before I'm like, at the beginning of the year, I decided I would take like 3 weeks to finish pretty much, but I stretched out the 3 weeks over 3 months, and I just got tired of seeing my book. So now I'm, let me get it. Ugh. Everything's over here in the mysterious corner. So now I'm reading through it, and I'm putting like the rank of the chapter. So I have like a 4s and 1s and 5s, and that's how much I have to change. So if I have a 5, that means I don't have to change too much. And the 1 is like, this is horrible. Why did you write this? Kind of thing. So I'm planning that out, and then for April, I'm going to fix it all up and not look at it for like, oh, I should correct this. And it's just gonna like, no, only spelling mistakes from now on, kind of thing.
So you have found your endpoint, finally a stop point. That's good.
It's done. Just get it over with.
You've been working on this manuscript for a while, haven't you?
Yeah, I think I started in 2000, like 2 years ago, like for the 2004 NaNoWriMo. I think it was like 70-something thousand, and then I went to a writer class with someone who's a published thriller author, and he's like, you have to make it 82. And I'm like, okay, now I need to add a bunch of stuff. So I added a bunch of stuff, and then rereading it again, I'm like, well, I don't need to add all this stuff because some of it makes no sense for the story. And then I decided to make it a series, which I thought would be fun because I spent way too much time researching about the Japanese mob to just write one book, because that was a lot of research. And I'm like, these characters are kind of fun. I can make them do crazy things because they don't have any kind of legal sense of duty or anything. So I'm doing that, and I was trying to sell it to agents for a while, all kinds of stuff, just waiting for that. And then I'll finish it in April. I'll be done, and I'm gonna hold on to it. But I'm happy to see the end, so I can move on.
Woof woof! That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Or I had a friend who read the story, and I was talking with her because we saw play, and she's like, yeah, I was kind of sad when you killed said character. And I'm like, what? Because I was working on like the second book, and I'm thinking like, that character, my main character is like so beneath him, like above him now. He couldn't possibly feel bad for killing him anymore. And I'm like, oh, I'm kind of sorry. But then I'm like, how could you like that character? That character is so lame. You should see my new characters now. They're much better.
Just wait till you meet my new people. They're great.
They're so much cuter. Yeah.
You and your cute boys. So funny. So what were your writing goals that you wanted to achieve for this first quarter of the year?
So,
and did you get to them, or?
I kind of got to them. I think the first quarter was to finish, like to read through my draft, my second book 2 draft, and to fix that, which was a horrible mess. I forgot how messy book, like first drafts, especially NaNoWriMo first drafts, are just horrible and horrendous and crazy. And I'm like, this is not pretty, and this is not fun at all. So I kind of did that. I kind of got sick during some of it, so I didn't feel I was feeling bad. So I didn't work as much as I did. I had like the I-run thing, which I talked about in some video, and you know, every week you're supposed to get to 100, and I had like 35 weeks where my total was 35 because I didn't do as much as I wanted, but I felt miserable. So I was like, that's okay. But I got better, so that's good. For this last week in March, I'm doing really good because my goal is to read my book, my book that I have, and it's being really successful now since I'm getting up and feeling better. Yay!
Good.
Yeah, how are yours going? Your goals? Did you achieve them?
Well,
you're editing, but
yeah, I'm editing, and well, everything took a left turn after I gracefully banged my head off of the bus.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize it at the time, but I was pretty scrambled for a few weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So I am very behind, but that's okay. It's okay. It's all self-imposed deadlines. So I feel like adjusting them as necessary if need be.
Yeah.
But I'm halfway through editing the manuscript. So I want to finish it. Just this preliminary kind of trying to make sure that things are making sense and figuring out where I need to add things so that it does make sense. I want to finish this first one within the next week. So that would also include typing things into the documents. Because apparently that's not a thing I do now.
Document that you shared with me.
Such a mess.
That's okay. I think that's one of the most annoying things because I handwrite notes on it when I'm editing, and then like going back and typing them up, I just think it's the most annoying thing ever. And it's just like, this is such a big pain, just typing them up, because it's like you already got it out and you're just retyping and you're like, I should move on. I already typed, like I wrote this out. It should be there already.
Right? Like, I've already thought this through. Why do I have to write this again? And now it's such a weird place because, where I'm typing, I'm at the beginning of the novel, but where my brain is, I'm like in the marshy middle, I'm like, what is this? I don't even. My middle is a train wreck, but that's all right. I've been thinking it through, and I have some really strong ideas to kind of tie it together and make it better. Uh-oh. Are you still there?
I'm still here.
Okay. It was like everything got quiet.
Oh.
Like, oh no, something happened.
Over me. She must not be there anymore. I know when I was working, because you're on your first draft, like you wrote it and then you're fixing it. When I was doing that with my book, like for the earlier in the year, it was just, it's so miserable. Like you're just working on like plot stuff and you're like, this needs to make more sense, and nothing is pretty and everything is just horribly ugly, and you're like, I should put more character emotion. And I always find it really hard to get to work on the ending chapters because I'm like, I don't know the characters' emotions so well. Like I feel like everything I was working on just getting the plot down and not the character's feelings. I'm really big into character, so not his feelings or anything like that. So I feel like I haven't struggled through it with him enough to get the ending right. So I always am really horrible, and I feel like I save my endings until like towards the final drafts to get better.
When you start your first draft, do you already know how it's going to end?
Yeah.
That's right. You're like a super outliner.
Yeah. Well, usually I start with I think I usually start with an ending, like an emotion, like an end, like how miserable do I want my character to feel, and what sort of misery exactly is it?
Oh my gosh, that's such a goth thing.
But yeah, I'm like, what kind of misery? So like in the second one, I'm like, his misery should be I'm a good leader, but I also have to show them I'm super powerful. So I'm going to make this guy cut off his finger. So. With a box cutter. Oh, yes. So dramatic.
Oh, it's so creepy.
It's a love story. That's what they got to do. That's what they got to do.
Cut his finger off with the box cutter. It's a love story. Oh my god.
Kind of. There's love elements, and I love how like the love story the equals amount to where the guy, my main character, tells the other guy that he can make tea for him, and that's the love right there. That's like the ultimate.
That's the declaration.
Yes.
Aww. You made my tea.
Yeah,
he
you
loves
can make
me.
tea for me. You can make tea, Paul. I'll let you do it.
Well, I was reading a Nora Roberts romance, and the moment where the main character fell in love with the guy was when he gave her a brush. Like he realized that her brush was damaged or something, and he gave her a replacement. And it was like at that moment she knew.
Aww.
I was like,
it's the small things.
It really is the small things when someone like shows that they care about something that it's important to you, but isn't really that big of a deal on the grand scale of things.
Yeah, I know husband always buys me like random snacks that I like, and I didn't tell him to buy me the snacks. And it was always like, oh, when we first like started living together and such, and now I'm like, don't buy me the snacks, I'm going to eat them, and I can't fit into my dresses anymore.
Your dresses are way too involved and expensive to just be replacing them every season.
There's not an option here.
Last night, my math guy brought home a thermos for me for my hot drink so that I could take coffee with me to the library.
Aww.
And I'd mentioned it offhand a couple weeks ago, and he's like, "Oh, you wanted this." I was like, "Oh my gosh, it's going to keep things hot for 8 hours." You're amazing.
And I feel bad because I'm like never that thoughtful at all.
I just tried to feed him.
I don't even do that. I don't know how to cook anymore, which I emphasize my point because one time there was a while where I tried to like make like these frozen meals for myself, and like one time I forgot to put the stove on, one time I forgot to put the meal inside, so I like emphasized it more, and I'm like, I'm horrible. I was really out of it those 2 days.
He's like, okay, that's enough of this.
Yeah, you can't. You really forgot how to cook. You're not exaggerating.
All right, I'm gonna head over to Twitter and see what's happening.
I think we got an excited fan. This Peyton Reeds. She seems very excited. Oh, and she asked us. I know you said you were doing it, but I'm already over here, so I hope you don't mind.
Oh, I don't care.
She asked us, what is our biggest worry for Camp NaNoWriMo?
So my biggest worry for Camp NaNoWriMo is that I don't want to have another rough draft that's an absolute mess to deal with. But I still haven't completed that outline. So yeah. And since it's the second book in the series. The first book is the one that I was talking about editing. So now and I started the rough draft for NaNoWriMo this past fall. However, I've decided that the time frame that's the book is going to take place doesn't work with what I'd written. So all that's basically going to be thrown out. So I'm restarting fresh. And so the two books are going to happen at the same time, but they're also going to have scenes that could interconnect. So that's going to make it tricky to make sure that everything fits together nicely and makes sense. And there's no, and it's not just I don't know, filler, or like these major scenes need to actually be major scenes and stay major scenes.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So those are my worries.
This is why I say I think I'm horribly cheating at Camp NaNoWriMo, but everybody's like, hey, let's join. I'm like, okay, I never did this. But I'm just doing like, okay, if I write for a day, edit, because I'm editing my book, and I'm like, that counts as like 1,000 words, even though I think editing most of the time you're taking away words instead of really adding them. And I'm like, as long as I do it. So I think I think my biggest worry is that I just come home and I'm exhausted and I fall asleep every day and I can't write anything.
Oh. Well, I think that I know that they have some type of calculator for like the number of words that you edit so that you can keep track of it on their thing on the Camp NaNoWriMo. But yeah, I don't remember what it is.
I think the you wrote today, that's 1,000 words for your edit. I'm trying to get the more at first I thought like, oh my, this book is so bad. I have so much stuff to fix. And as I started reading it, I thought like a little bit like, I'm like, this is actually really good. I'm actually interested in what's going on. And then I hit a patch where I'm like, this is horrible. But mostly I'm really excited. But I haven't gotten to the end, which is where all the horrible stuff is. In my head, I'm like, the ending is horrible and it should be rewritten. So I'm gonna try to do the horrible stuff first. That way it gets out of the way, and like the 4 and 5 rated stuff, I'm just kind of like adding my notes to the draft. So I want to say like I'm like 85% already done. So I don't know if that's cheating or something with Camp NaNoWriMo, but I think
the point of the camp is that you like do the thing, whatever that thing is, and just do the thing.
Do the thing and hoping I'll fall asleep when I get home every day.
Well, if you do, then when you wake up, make yourself some tea.
Oh, I know. That was it today. I'm like, I could fall asleep or I could make some tea because the tea has caffeine and would wake me up. And I'm like, or I could go to sleep. And I'm like, I chose sleep.
Well, you must have been tired.
Oh, I need like a tea fairy to make my tea now. I need that secretary. That's the my character, he's like, you can make my tea. I need to find someone like that.
You need a tea fairy.
Yeah.
So Burgess was supposed to be with us today, but she is not feeling well. And right now she is drinking ginger ale. And I just want to give a shout out and a hi. And I hope you feel better, sweetie.
Yeah. I know.
No coffee.
Yeah, I hope she feels better too. I know if you're interested to figure out what Burgess is doing, she has her Artist Way weekly update videos, and I listen to those, and they seem very extensive and interesting. Like, I think, did you have the Artist Way? Or
yes, I do. And so far, I have read the prologue. So
Wait, you read prologues?
You, with your not reading the prologues, how? Aren't you worried that you'll miss something?
No, I read introductions. Like my really old Japanese, like the books by Kawabata usually have like an introduction. I read that, but I started to read like one, and it was with the Soseki novel I read, Junichiro or something like that, or Senshiro, because everybody would know the difference, totally. But it had a prologue, and it just went on. And this is a reason where, like, I'm going to give prologues a try. I'm going to read this one. And it just went on and on. And I'm like, who is this guy? I don't know, random famous Japanese author who's doing the intro for this book. But you just talked about how you're really poor and you have no money for books. But you read this book and it was really awesome. But then you spent like 50 pages talking about something else. Like the prologue was like 20 pages long. And maybe it was like a prologue to the story, and it wasn't an introduction. It was just really strange, and I'm like, it was confusing.
Oh well, that's a bad example.
That's a bad example.
It's really bad. Last night I read a prologue to Patrick Rothfuss's. Can't get all these S's out. The Name of the Wind, and it was 1 page long, just 1 page long.
Yeah, that's okay. When you get
But
like
it like gripped me. Like I was just like, oh my God, I shouldn't have started this. Now I just want to read all 700 pages, and I got a lot of writing to do. Oh no. So remember, you guys, if you have any comments or questions, send them to us at #WriteStuff. And Peyton asked us, what are our favorite snacks to keep us going during camp? What are my favorite snacks?
Well, as I mentioned, I'm trying not fit into my dresses anymore. So I've been really big into mandarins or like clementines, like the really easy to peel ones. And those been good because I'm like, I want something sweet. I'll eat this because this is sweet. But it's making like the nail I used to peel them open, it's making it orange, which is kind of strange.
That's weird.
Because I'll get I'll probably eat like 3 or 4 a day. So I'm just peeling it open and it's painting my nail orange because I get under it and I don't know, orange nail.
Let's see. What are my snacks? I tend to go for things that are super easy and takes no time or consideration. So it's like granola bars. We eat they're Greek yogurt, and I can't remember which company, Okonos maybe. Doesn't matter. It's not even important. But it has like 2 things, and on the left side will be the little stuff that you put into the yogurt. So there's like lime flavored with white chocolate and chocolate with granola, blah, 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 blah. So those are good. So those are the 2 things that I generally snack on just because it's just like spoon, yogurt, do my thing now. And coffee.
Coffee. I do tea. I do hot tea. I don't drink coffee. Tea keeps me going, especially rose tea. It has there's this rose tea, which I like very much, and I'm able to drink it very quickly just because I like it so much. So I'm able to get convince myself when I'm done with my first pot that I should have a second, and then I get tea drunk with it really easily. So, yeah.
Hi, Persephone.
Oh yeah, she's on. Where's she at?
She's on the Twitter. She waves at us, so I wave back.
You can wave. There you go. I think I saw it was reading over there by her. So I had a writer retreat, not a retreat, like a thing. That's so descriptive. Can't you tell I'm a writer? And I say clearly. It was they called it a block party, and we went to On the Border, which is a restaurant that I've never been to, and I think it's a chain of Mexican food. And I went there with a bunch of people from the Dallas area, and we sat there chatting. We talked about pitching a book, and I was going to writers' cons and the do's and don'ts of writers' cons. So that was kind of fun. I think, yeah.
That is cool.
Yeah, that's pretty fun. This is me ranting to everybody on the internet. So I come in a really frilly dress because that's what I wear. And I go there and I sit down next to these random old people because most of the people who write in the area are old, and I'm always the youngest one there, and I'm not that young. But anyway, so I sit there and they're like, "You must write romance," and I'm like, "No," and they're like, "Historical romance," and I'm also like, "No." So don't judge a writer by what they wear. It seems like by the same assumption they should have fantasy authors dressed in fantasy clothes, with giant stacks and wizard hats and everything, or steampunk novelists, or spy novelists would dress up like spies, James Bond, wherever they go. I just don't get that logic at all to me.
You just feel yeah, it's a romance story. He cuts off his finger and gives it to his loved one in a bow.
Yeah, he kills his lover, because he loves the city more. So yeah, just general people, don't judge a book by its cover, and also don't judge what the author dresses like, by what genre they like. Sure, it happened last time at the DFW Con too. I was like, oh, you must write steampunk, because steampunk was a theme. And I'm like, this outfit is nothing but steampunk. And I'm like, no, I got really tired of just saying no to people, that that's not what I write. And I think one time, with all my frustration, there was some random person who was just trying to be really nice and says, oh, you write steampunk, because that was like the opening conversation line to have with someone. And with all my like frustration for the day, I said no in like the meanest way. She looked at me like, oh, and I wanted to be like, I didn't mean it that, but I kind of did, but no, it's impossible. Like, stop it. Stop it.
She like went away with her poor ego in her hands. Like, I don't know what I did, and I hate writers' conferences.
I don't know what I did. I mean, you could start off and say, oh, you have such a nice outfit. Or just ask me what I write instead of guessing. It seems like I would never guess what somebody wrote personally, but that's just, I write mob stories. Do I look like a mob kind of guy person?
I guess not. But I mean, by that same token, what would people assume that I write about?
Yeah.
Probably not trashy West Virginians. Probably not.
Yeah, it just seems so strange to do that, and that was my soapbox. I'll get off of it now.
Persephone says that cocoa is delicious, but it upsets her stomach. Oh, that would bum me out.
Oh, that would be bad too. Oh, and she also says that someone guessed that she wrote on her clue that it would usually be lesbian chick lit.
Oh. But why though? Like,
just short hair or something. I don't know. It
just look like the type that writes lesbian chick lit.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, but why?
Yeah, it just seems, I don't know, like a kind of judgmental thing. It you know, the automatic bias, like this person is writing frilly, or she writes frilly things, so she must be into like frivolous romance books or something. Mm-hmm.
Yes, as long as they involve tea and seven fingers.
They are tea, yeah, they do tea, but you know, the book title is like Bloodstained Tea, so it's obviously not just a frilly dress kind of thing.
Oh, it's very sweet.
I think Peyton is asking us if we have, what is our word count goals?
My word count goal for Camp Nano is 30,000. So I just want to hit 1,000 words a day with writing on the second book, Tales of a Supersized Slut. And the editing is just that hour at least a day.
I arbitrarily typed in 20,000 words. That's really odd. I'm like, there I go. I figured 1,000 a day, and then I take off. I don't write on Fridays because that's my like relaxed day. I think I did for like normal NaNoWriMo, but it was kind of like an enjoyment. So that eliminates 4 Fridays, I think. And then I have my writers guild I go to, and then the critique group meeting 2 separate days. So I'm doing that. And then in April, I also have the DFW Con I'm going to. So in my head, that eliminated 10 days. So I figured every day I write is 1,000 words. So arbitrarily just put in 20,000 kind of.
Let's see. Oh, I need to update my calendar for April. I have the calendar over here. I just realized I was like, because I was going to look and see when I'm doing a conference in April, and I'm doing a workshop. I'm not putting it on, I'm just attending, but I'm really excited. Though I need to send payments, I think, to the, oh my gosh, I haven't sent my payment for the registration yet for the conference. Oh, I got to do that today. Okay, so those 2 things are happening. And then the the local NaNoWriMo group is meeting on the 9th. So that's a thing that I'm actually trying to do. They kind of meet up every month just to hang out and socialize, but I never do it because I am a hermit.
I know that feeling.
And now that I have to ride the bus everywhere, it's like a hassle. It's like a 2-bus trip. And I try to just, that just sounds so like terrible and lazy, but I just hate it. So I'm so bad with directions and I always get lost. And when I add an extra bus into the mix, there's just,
it's just hard. Like, it's hard riding the bus. I tried that and I failed miserably. And I could have just walked home. It would have taken less time.
Okay, here's my worst bus story. I had gone to like a Toastmasters meeting, which is one where you're learning how to do public speaking and you're learning how to do speeches. So I thought that would help me when I do poetry on stage and when I do like any type of workshops and host stuff, blah, 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 blah. And it was not far from my house, but I took the bus anyway. And I ended up, I don't know what happened, but from 6 blocks, it ended up being an hour and a half because I missed my stop. And then I didn't know where to like get off to get home. Yeah. So I ended up going to the end of the bus ride, which was at the military base, where you had to get off the bus and go and stand on the other side of the street. And it was the most horrifying and scary thing. They're like, ma'am, you need to get off the bus. And I was like, why are all these people in military uniforms surrounding me? Oh, God. Just thinking about it makes me break out and, like, I really did sweat. So much anxiety.
Well, that's understandable. My story isn't anywhere near as entertaining.
I am very good at fouling up terribly.
So you're doing, I guess you're writing, are you writing outside? Do you do better when you write not at home? Or, because you said you were meeting places and...
I'm pretty good with writing at home, but there's just days where I can tell that I'm just not going to do it unless I go somewhere else, It's like I'm so into just kind of distracting myself with everything other than what I need to do.
Yeah.
That I'm like, all right, Tamara, you have to obviously relocate because you're not going to get anything done today. So get out of the house. So on those days, and I generally would go to the library because it's like a little quieter, or to a coffee shop. And now I'll have my awesome thermos so I can have my hot beverages. And it keeps things cold for 18 hours.
That's good. I know I had a friend and I, and we had a writer date someplace to a little cafe, and we ate. And because we had also more food after that, but we also wrote at the same time, so it was really nice because I got, what was I doing? So I got like lots of scenes written, and she got her scenes written, and it was hard for her because she's older and she has children, and she's like, when I'm at home, they always bug me, and I'm like, well, then get out of the house. And she had a good excuse, like, I'm seeing a friend and we're gonna have a writer date, and then that was what we're gonna do. So that helped, and then it also is kind of like, I have to write because this other person's watching me because we sit across from each other. And if I'm not writing, she's going to know somehow.
If I'm just looking at Twitter, she'll see it in my eyes.
She'll know. So you also get the extra bonus of like writer guilt.
Persephone says that her Camp NaNoWriMo word count is 25K. So about 1,191 words a day without writing on weekends. I think I can. Choo choo. Yeah, you can. You can do it.
Yeah.
Do it.
Bum, bum, bum. Yeah, I would say I really like. This is my first Camp NaNoWriMo, and I kind of like the cabin thing. So that's kind of neat. That there's that because I think on my like the local feeds, it's like all the way at the bottom of the form list, and I don't think anybody really checks it because no one has like really comments during NaNoWriMo online. And we have like a Facebook page, which gets more updated, but then everybody's just kind of like posting random like pictures, like writer inspiration pictures. Like, guys, you can talk about things too.
We don't have to just post memes.
Yes. So many. And I'm like, some of them are helpful, but most of them aren't.
I'm really glad that our cabin got to, because we were together for last year, and it was fun because people actually chatted in it, and like stuff happened, and we'd meet up and do like writing sprints and stuff on Twitter, and it was just cool. So yes.
Awesome. I just joined the cabin. I'm like the newbie camper. You guys will like play a prank on me or something. Steal my socks.
When you're sleeping, we'll put your hand in some ice water.
That's what you'll do. Other camp-y tricks. I don't know. Have you ever went to camp, like real camp?
Actually, no. So I just saw that in a movie. I don't even know how it works.
I went to a horseback riding camp when I was like 10. Not 10. I was probably like 12 because I always wanted to like ride horses. And then the first time I got on a horse, I fell off.
Oh my gosh. Like 10-year-old Tamara would have been so jealous. I was reading all the horse books right then at that time. What is it with like 10-year-old girls and horses?
I don't know. I was into horses and unicorns too. Like I didn't even have Barbies. I only had horses.
Oh my gosh. Tina Belcher from Bob's Burgers. She loves horses, unicorns. So let's see. Alexis, she says, I think I've settled on a project for Camp NaNoWriMo, but not the goals yet. Hey, at least you've got the project down. That's like a huge step.
That is a big step, deciding why. So how did you go about, because since I'm running a series, I'm all like, how do you go about with your series? Like, how did you come up with deciding what you're going to put in book 1 versus book 2? Or how did you, branch out from there?
Well, with me, both of these stories have happened in my brain for years. And I call them like their current stages as like the first rough drafts, but actually they each have one that happened years ago that was just wrong, and then I abandoned it and now I'm redoing them. So, and it took last year for me to even realize that they were actually part of the same world. So it all kind of just came together. I didn't have any real planning, which is my life, kind of.
That's what happens. I'm like the most detailed extreme plotter ever. I'm like, I have to have a scene and sequel. Like, what's going on? Which is interesting because I'm like beta reading, or I joined like more critique groups online, and this one's just for like male romance. And I'm like, yeah, M/M romance, because when I did it out loud with my critique group, people didn't know what LGBT was, and I had to explain, and it was kind of awkward. Like I said, I'm usually the youngest person, and like the first person I just kind of ignored, like, okay, she's really old, so we'll just let her not know a whole entire group of people. And then it kind of happened again. I'm like, oh, this isn't the group to read those scenes to.
Oh, did you have to read them out loud?
Yes, which is horrifying. I'm so bad at reading out loud because I go like really fast and I don't pause. And I'm like, no one understands what I'm saying anyway. And it's horrifying to read it out loud with like, usually have about at least 10 people come. So you're reading your story out loud to people and then they comment. And when they're commenting, you really can't say anything back to them. You're just sitting there going, and you write your notes down, and it's horrifying.
That's I wouldn't want to read it out loud.
Yeah,
at all.
I'm trying to do it more this year, and I did it with my. So far they have read, like, the very first time they read my first chapter twice because I wanted to make sure that was good, and then they read chapter 3 because chapter 2 had a romance scene in it, and I'm like, I can't have them get all hoo-ha with these guys making out. And then I read out loud the last scene, so they got the first scene and the last one. And I'm like, there you go.
Oh goodness. Dorothea Lee 1 on the YouTube page said, please anybody tell me who those mobsters make out with. So she wants to know who your mobsters are making out with.
Each other. Duh.
They're super cute.
They're based on Japanese rock stars, and if you look not even that hard, you can tell who. But yeah, it should be out in December. If you're interested, just stay tuned. You could subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I will keep you updates on it frequently. It's just my name. Plug.
Plug.
It's really fun. It's really violent. Warning, it's very violent, but it's very fun as well. You know, cute boy, another cute boy. They should just make out with each other.
So right now I'm doing the horror submissions for the anthology that I'm making that's set in Appalachia, and that'll be published for this October for this Halloween. And someone asked me if violence was okay, and I was like, well, it's horror. Yeah. I don't think I've ever really thought of horror without violence. And that's just my perception.
Lovecraft is not really violent stuff, but it was kind of remember. Like we did audio tapes of Lovecraft, and I fell asleep for a lot of it, so I could be just remembering it raw. Like, okay, they're gonna go into this cave with horrible things, and then I went to sleep, and I woke up, and they're still just about to go into the cave of horrible things. I'm like, how? It's been 20 minutes. Why don't you just go to the cave?
Oh my gosh. I haven't read much Lovecraft. And really the only experience I have with Lovecraft, H.P. Lovecraft, is from the show Warehouse 13 that was on Sci-Fi. Yeah. And there was an H.P. Lovecraft character. So... which was not based on real fact at all. Yeah.
I know kind of like the Cthulhu thing, because it's the thing that goes around the internet. I know, like, he's Cthulhu, he's an old one, he brings about bad things. That's all. Everybody's agreeing with me that it's scary to read your stuff out loud in front of people.
It is scary. I would not enjoy that.
Yeah, and then some people, like, they read so well, and I'm like, how can I go after you? You sound like you could be, like, a narrator of an audiobook, and I have to read after you. Why?
So what are some tips that you'd like to give our audience for staying on track with Camp NaNo, or since this is your first camp, you know, it would be the same like you would for NaNoWriMo. What are some tips?
Have an outline. That way you know what's going to happen. Like, I'm so to tell, I scene and sequel every single scene, so I know what every single scene is, and why it's important, and what the goal is for every character, and what the conflict is, and how that leads into the next thing. So I have my whole story mapped out. If that does not work for you, then I guess it doesn't work for you.
I think that if I did that, I wouldn't want to write it anymore.
Oh, but then like you get the juicy. I think what I do is my student sequel is very much like this is the conflict of the chapter, but I add extra stuff like my character trades shoes with this prostitute because the prostitute really likes his shoes because they're snazzy. He's like a brand whore, and he's like, "Oh, let me try on your shoes," and he's like, "Okay," because my character is really drunk. And then for like most of the book, my character is trying to get his shoes back from the prostitute. The prostitute keeps on forgetting to wear them. So that's a funny moment, and that was not written in my season sequel. Maybe. I thought it was funny, this ongoing gag about him not having his shoes.
Oh my god. Well, I mean, if it works for you, that's fantastic.
Maybe. Like that to me is like, look how so unscripted this is.
I remember you telling me about that. You were really excited.
I am excited about it still.
And I was super tickled.
Yes, I think that's just funny, and it adds something to the character because I'm like, you character, your thing. I gotta try to get like one hobby for my characters to have. That way, they have some kind of personality. And I know like a hobby isn't technically a personality, but when you're writing your riff draft, you can just reference it a lot, and you can be like, okay, you're this guy. So this guy was just obsessed with name brand clothes. So I'm like, okay, you'll be obsessed with this guy's shoes because they're brand as well.
That makes sense.
Mm-hmm. So I think that's it. And then also not beating yourself up, I guess, if you get far behind. The important thing is to get more words than when you start.
The really good thing about camp is that you can adjust your goals. I think up to I'm not sure if it's just up to a certain time period or throughout the whole thing. So if you start with, okay, I'm going to write 60,000 words this month, and then you get into the month and you realize this is not going to work, I'm crazy, then you can change that and adjust it. So I think that you have to set your goal and try to meet it. But if life is happening, then don't be afraid to adjust it. That's one tip I would have. Another tip is find a writing buddy, whether it's someone in IRL or online, whatever. Find someone that you can kind of check in with each other every day or every couple of days or whatever, just to make sure that you're both keeping on your tracks. I think that's really important. And the third thing that I would say is that if you are able to set aside that time that you're going to write each day, and whether it's, after work, before you watch TV, after dinner, there's like maybe a 30-minute time period that you can write, or on your transit on the train or whatever. Try to keep to that same time schedule every day, because then when you don't do it, you'll feel like you're missing something and you haven't done something. You know how like sometimes you'll leave the house and you're like, I'm supposed to do something. You'll have that feeling, like it'll kind of gnaw at you, and then you'll do the writing, do the things so that you feel better.
So prepared.
Those are my 3 tips.
I'll agree with them.
Yeah, they work whether you're an outliner or not.
I just find it helpful to be like, oh, what are next? I'm like, okay, I'm ready to see.
I wish that I was more of an outliner. I think that it would make my drafts way better, and that's why I'm kind of attempting an outline.
Yeah. I think if you, I don't know, just kind of get the roadmap and set. I think maybe if you just need something really, really basic, so like the beginning, the inciting incident, and then maybe like the 3 big, the big thing that happens at Act 1, and then Act 2, and then the conclusion, and maybe just do those big things might help, possibly.
I was looking at the 7 points story structure.
Mm-hmm.
So that one has basically what you just said.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was going with. I tried doing that, like, for the second book, I tried to do, like, more outlining, which seems strange since I'm already writing every single scene, but I was trying to see, like, different outlines, and I tried that one, and I don't know if I liked it as much, but it kind of reminded me that I have to have, like, big elements instead of small things. And because this one, I want to say the death count for my second book is like 0. And the other one had
Really?
death. And this one, I'm like, there's death at the very beginning, and there's like a random prostitute. But she's forget
But
about them.
Does she survive?
What? Nah, she doesn't even have a name, so who cares? And, but like, yeah, the death count's really low. I'm like, well, I have to make it exciting, and basically my character is like spiraling, and like, I guess I could say he kills an old dude if I want. I don't know. anyway, I'm thinking in my head. Sorry.
That's
but
okay.
You know, to me, like the big action scenes are like, yeah. And the first book had these big like, and then he kills his bodyguard and he stabs him, you know, with this stuff, and then explosion, not an explosion, but you know, and this one, it's like, and then he has to wait outside and try to listen into this conversation because he's trying to figure out who's betraying him, and then I don't know, he passes out because he is exhausted and is having an infection. So like the big element is he passes out, and I think I decided he was going to rip open his arm or something.
Ow.
Yeah, I think every draft, every time I look at a scene, I like push it up more and more to be more intense. That's my thing. That's my hope. More intense.
Well, that'll definitely make it more enjoyable for the readers.
Yeah. Or disgusted. I was reading like I think the one with where they were killing the pachinko guy. And I'm like, oh my, this is so violent. With my book one, when I was rereading it, I'm like, this is like really horribly violent. Amy, what are you doing?
It is violent. It's great.
Well, it's a thriller. It's not a romance book. So there we go.
You know, I like thrillers, so I was like, "Ooh, this is crazy."
Yeah.
Let's keep
Okay. Good. And then I'm like, I watched too many Miike movies. So, I don't know, Takashi Miike people online. If you like what I'm talking about, you should check out his mom movies. They're very similar. Except no guys make out with each other, which is sad. And they're all a bunch of old dudes, which also is sad as well.
If you have any questions or comments, be sure to tweet them at #WriteStuff. So I'm checking it out to see if anyone has said anything. And Alexa said that she lived for unicorns when she was a kid. Real horses, not so much. She got thrown. Also. I've never been on a horse. I think that the closest I came to was I was at my friend's house, and she introduced me to the horse, but was like, don't pet him, he bites. And I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, you stay away. I know sometimes in Texas they have like people have like horses on the beach. I'm sure Hawaii takes much better care of their beaches, and you could like ride them for X amount of time on the beach for X amount of money. Hawaii takes probably care of their beaches. Texas doesn't care.
Yeah, their beaches around here are pretty nice, and there's a lot of people who definitely pay a lot of attention to the environment, which was definitely a nice change from West Virginia, which is where I'm from, in case any of you guys didn't know, where there's a lot of natural beauty, but people aren't as vocal about taking care of the environment. But here it's like very, very prevalent.
Yeah. I think we try to, at least because I'm in a big city, so it's very democratic. So we try to do like no fracking, and then the Texas governor was like, you can't make a bill against no fracking ordinance, so that went away. So we tried, and then we try like, okay, let's have no plastic bags, and then the Texas governor was like, that's stupid, I'm banning you from banning plastic bags. Like, this is so good. And they're always like, small government. And we're like, well, that was an example. I'm sorry you're doing what you wanted. But
yeah, we can't. They just passed a no plastic bag ordinance like at the end of last year. So, but so we have like a whole cabinet filled with reusable bags, which we'd already had anyway. So it worked out for us.
Yeah, you can always just carry more stuff with the usable bags too, which I think handy.
It's kind of good for me because I will impulse buy. So it's like, okay, I have 3 bags. Stick to the list.
See, my impulse buys are usually like makeup, and I just go to the counter and I just say, I don't want a bag, and I stick it in my purse. There's some lipstick for me. Red, another shade of red lipstick. Yes, this one's different than all the other red shades.
Of course. I only have a few lipsticks. But I wear this one all the time because I don't know, I like it.
I don't know. I have a lot. I probably have too much. But I get dressed up and I'm like, this shade. Or then I feel guilty because I get my makeup done and they're like, oh, you get it for free. And I'm like, yeah, let's get the lipstick. But I guess we should talking about the last writing thing. I think, if you want and you like us very much and this writing thing we have going, you should join the Facebook page, which tomorrow we'll link because I'm telling her to eventually, maybe on mine or at least on the video of this. It's on Facebook.
I will add it to the description.
Yeah.
Yes. And you guys, we are... Oh, I don't think I told you guys what we are or what we're from or anything. I just dive right into
people.
I mean, people are people. But every Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern, we meet up on Twitter with #WriteStuff. And we talk about all things writing. And now we've been doing monthly themes. So, for instance, March's theme was starting at the beginning and how do you start a rough draft. And the month before that was marketing. So next month,
come and talk with us, and she was fun. I'll get to say she's going to the DFWCon, so I'll have to tell her thank you for joining us.
Definitely. She was great. She was definitely great. I really enjoyed having her. And there'll be more people in the future. And, we do these Google Hangouts, and I'm sure that we'll end up doing maybe a mid-month check-in with Camp NaNo.
That works. I can do that.
Mid-month. Let me write this down. Right. Mid-month check-in. And I'm planning on doing some weekly writing sprints on this channel so that if anyone is doing Camp NaNo and they want to do some writing sprints, you can hang out with me and do some. And if someone would like to join in and be part of the broadcast, let me know.
Yeah. Tamara's the one with all the moderator. She knows how to work this. I had no idea. If I had to do this myself, I'd be like, I don't know how to do a Google Hangout.
Don't worry. It only took me like 5 months to figure it out.
We got it down really good this time.
I know. There was like no problems. Yeah. I was really waiting for them.
And then I can plug myself. If you're into my twisted way of thinking, you can check out my YouTube and see what other kind of twisted things I think about. Mostly at my YouTube, I just don't talk about my super twisted things. It's only on this live thing where I'm just unedited. But you can see these Philly dresses I'm talking about. And I do talk about writing as well. And sometimes I talk about tea. But I'm super cool, so you should check that out.
Whoop, whoop. Would you rather do the 13th or the 20th?
Let me look at my calendar. 1, 2, 3. Well, the 20th, I'm at my critique group, terrified and reading something out loud. So we'll have to do it on 13th.
All right. 13th works. Let me make sure. I'm pretty sure the 13th works for me, but before I say for sure, let me look. Yeah. Yep. 13th works for me. So you guys write it in your calendars too.
Yeah.
Join us here
You're checking.
8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the Camp NaNo check-in.
I have to mark it.
On my channel, I talk about writing in books, and every Saturday this month, I'll be doing a Camp NaNo update that'll also have some kind of tips to help you along in your journey. So I hope that you guys will stop by here and check out what I have to say, and hopefully it'll be helpful. My last video was a book wrap, like a book haul with a couple books and a few adult coloring books because I'm suddenly getting into that trend. So you should check it out because it's fun.
And then I would plug Tamara for Tamara's sake. She has a lovely book of poetry out that I usually don't read poetry, and I read it, and it was amazing. And it's called The Shaping of an Angry Black Woman. Yes? Okay, I always want to say diary, and I'm like, no, that's wrong. So you should check it. It's on Amazon. You should check it out. It's really, really pretty stuff and really nice. So you should check it out because it's awesome. She wasn't going to do that, but I'm going to do it for her.
Oh, thanks. I'm really bad at it. I promote shameless self-promotion, but I'm not that great at it. But I encourage everyone else to do it. Okay, so let's see. Is there anything else that we need to promote?
I think you got everything. You got your poetry for the Reverend Journal, and you talked about the horror anthology you need, and I just did my YouTube channel because I'm like, don't look at my website yet. It's bad. I'll eventually write short stories, but I'm not advertising for it yet because none of them are written.
Yeah, so in the description of this video, once it posts, I'll be able to update it with the link for our Facebook group, and I'll put the link for Amy's channel and her Facebook and Twitter, and then my stuff, so that you guys can find us on social media and chat with us and come look at our channels and blah, 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 and have a great time. And hopefully you'll come to write stuff and talk about writing.
We'll be happy to have you join.
Okay, so we're a little bit after an hour, and I think that this is the perfect time for us to say goodbye.
Bye-bye, guys. Don't have nightmares from what I told you today, please.
Have a great week, you guys, and good luck with your first day of Camp NaNoWriMo. Whoop, whoop. Bye.
Bye.